Hi, this is the Gajimaru. I'm Kurt.
And I'm Kevin.
And today we're going to be talking about Lycoris Recoil. So we had a video talking about anime key visuals and how they mostly sucked. And we actually talked about Lycoris Recoil a very little bit. What were your very first impressions of the show?
And I'm like, okay, it looks maybe kind of like a drama, maybe a high school drama kind of a thing. I really didn't think anything of it.
They're all schoolgirl uniforms.
Yeah, and so I get into that first episode, and within the first 10 seconds, you see some guy get offed.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the hell?
And I had seen the poster. I read the PV, or I read the synopsis. I'm like, And that intrigued me. I think this was the show I was most looking forward to after I read the synopsis.
Okay.
But I still didn't really understand what it was about. Again, the key visual, awful. I didn't really know what to expect going in.
No, same. I went in completely blind.
And then you go in, and Chisato is narrating, and this fucking world is like Psycho-Pass, but cheerier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, you got me. Absolutely not what I thought it was going to be.
No, it was absolutely
At all.
nowhere even close what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. As an animator, right, you brought up the character designs and how that went into telling the story. Could you expand a little bit?
And so when it comes to the actual like design of the outfits, their school uniform, I was really impressed with because for me, it's a very striking outfit. It does look like a school uniform, but at the same time, it invokes some military like aspects to it, especially with the color coding for the ranks. Unit leaders are red. And so like, so I really like that. So like you get the gray uniforms for like the peons, and then you get the more like officer rankings with the blue, and then you get the leader with the red. So I think they did a really good job at merging everyday kind of practical like use, because you could just wear that outside and nobody would think that that's a military uniform, but it's also got a more specific function behind that. And so they could have done the easy way and given them this typical, a sailor uniform or any of the stereotypical seifuku. But they did a really neat design. And on another note, what I love about the Lycoris, their backpack, great functioning with it because they can hide the guns in it, and it's on the back of it, the backpacks. It has the Lycoris symbol, which is the death lily, and I've actually had to in the past design coat of arms, European coat of arms, and Japanese clan icons, and so it's a very tough thing to make like something look practical but like authentic. And the way they integrated the death lily into this Japanese, it almost looks like a Japanese clan, but at the same time almost corporate military looking. So they did a good job. Whoever designed that did an amazing job.
I'd also say that Kusunoki, her character design as well, I mean, it really says a lot about the character, but more so when talking about the uniforms. Kusunoki's hair is red and her leaders are red, and they're essentially all extensions of her, right?
And you get a lot of really unique designs for the secondary characters, and you don't get very many African American design or African black characters in anime. And so they handle his character very well because black characters in anime tend to look kind of funky.
They really. There's a lot of very unflattering racial stereotypes.
Like I think of Promised Neverland, the one I forget the name of the maid.
The maids. Those are bad.
Those are bad. So like the way he was handled, I loved it. It's very like authentic, but recognizable. They didn't lean into any tropes.
They didn't lean into any sort of like racist caricatures to create him. And I also think the cane really added to that sage mentor sort of relationship that it goes to a lot of the parental allegories that they have throughout the show. But again, Mika's character design, in the traditional Japanese garb with the cane, really emphasizes the relationship he has with the rest of the misfits in the Lycoris, I love Kurumi because it's so against type, right? Roboto or Robata on point.
Yeah.
Like you expect Robot to be like that, but Kurumi, I think, going against the grain, especially because Kurumi is supposed to be this older, wise sage hacker character.
They talk about they've been around for decades.
Exactly, and she listens to Enka.
Yeah,
is a big. I love that part about her. Every time the Enka played, I was like, yes, more Enka. What were some of the films that you felt that this show drew on the most?
Yeah, so the one you're gonna see and hear from the most is
John Wick. The man, the myth, the legend.
And I absolutely can understand that, especially with the first action scene with particularly the car door one that we mentioned earlier. And the reason you get that comparison is because it's one, really well choreographed gun kata, and two, it's this idea of like close encounter. Like there's a lot of grappling, which is so integral to John Wick's shooting style.
Yes.
And so, you can obviously say this is anime John Wick, but I think that does the anime a lot of disservice because
we both agree that that drawing a one-to-one comparisons to John Wick it's a very surface level interpretation of what the show is. Yeah. And honestly, if you go in thinking, I want to watch this show because it's anime John Wick, which a lot of other people have said, I think you might be disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Because while the action is there and it's very well done action, it's few and far between because the action is not the main point of the series. It's the relationship between Chisato and Takina and the rest of the Lyco Deco crew. Yes. And so I'm a big fan of the action genre with the girls and guns subgenre. And so immediately what I came to mind is the classic B Train's Girls with Gun trilogy, which was Noir, Mad Lax, and El Cazador de la Bruja. And I grew into the anime community with those anime. Those are one of the action shows that got me into it. That was back when I was like, I want cool action. I want samurai girls.
You're moving basically from the Toonami
into like the more obscure
trying
stuff.
to broaden your horizons.
Yeah, so that was definitely what brought me in. And I've always been a fan of that kind of a thing. And there's not many anime action shows that have really good gunplay. There's been like in recent years Princess Principal, but the one that I really compared this one to is Gunslinger Girl, with this idea of like the girl assassins with working for a shady government organization. Except this is not as depressing.
No, it's not. This takes Gunslinger Girl takes the grimdark path to this. Yeah. The Gen Urobuchi,
same thing with Black Lagoon. You could also say that goes the really
more
dark.
Gritty.
Yeah.
This takes the exact opposite.
Yeah. So this show handles pretty violent stuff, but it doesn't make you ever feel just dirty or sad at the end. They handle the drama and the comedy and the lightheartedness pretty well. The thing that you really have to applaud the animation team with A1 Pictures is the way they did their action scenes. Doing gun action scenes is deceptively hard. You would think it's pretty easy. Just bang, bang, bang. And there's plenty of anime shows that just do, they do a shot, reverse shot kind of an action scene.
Basically, they do the stereotypical not a lot of movement.
Yeah,
right?
and so it'll just be shot, reverse shot, and then wide shot, and then maybe a close up on the gun. But this show, they really do dynamic camera movements. You can see everything. They don't blur it out. They don't do any jarring cuts. And everything flows and reads so well.
Exactly.
The one action scene that comes into mind where it was really hard, I would imagine, to storyboard was the shootout scene with Silent Jin. They're doing a lot they're doing a lot of verticality. They're doing jumping and gun kata and all that. And they're rolling around and they're moving building from building. And that can be really confusing because you have two different points of views. You have Chisato's and Takina's, and they're on completely different levels.
Yes.
And so they handled that excellently. And at no point was I confused on where anybody was. And so that I cannot express to you with like how difficult that is.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I think also the movement, the non-action movement, I think that's what got to me Like the scene that I think of the most, which is again I think the most memed scene in this entire show, is the aquarium scene. Where Takina goes, pretends to be the fish.
Yeah.
But Chisato's movement from table to join her was so fluid.
Yeah.
You don't see that in anime for something that a lot of people would think is a throwaway scene.
Yeah.
But what is so perfect about what A1 did with this, and I actually don't even know the director's name. I wish we looked them up before this because they deserve credit for this.
Absolutely.
They realized that the personal moments are just as important as the gunfights, so they allocated the budget to make these scenes so fluid.
Exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned that because I was gonna say that it's so clear where the animation team knew what the main points of the show was.
Yes.
It was not just the action scene because they could have easily have done the shot reverse shot over the shoulder conversations, but no, they do little interactions that really get you to feel like they're friends. They may be small things, but they add so much. So like that aquarium scene, it's just so much fun. It put a smile on my face
because it's at the heart. The heart of this show goes to the relationships.
At the last episode, when we get the reunion with Chisato and Takina, they do the callback to the lifting up scene.
Yeah.
But it's such a cute scene. But what would have made it even more perfect for me had it been reversed? Had Takina lifted up Chisato.
I think that would have been great because it would have shown the growth in their relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Because clearly they've grown, right? I think another one is the heart scene, where. So at the end of the Silent Jin and the Old Man episode, so at the beginning of the episode, Takina learns that Chisato has an artificial heart.
Oh, that one. Okay.
And the episode ends.
本当に鼓動ないんですね。そうなの。すごいだろ。
I'm so glad you brought up the heart.
Yes.
Because that brings up a point that I really wanted to really go into detail with. Obviously, it's a big plot point in this show that Chisato has. She was born with congenital heart disease, and she had to get an artificial heart. And it's supposed to only last her till she's 18.
Yes.
And it's a big plot point that she can get a new one, but she has to kill Mr. Yoshi in order to get it. And so that scene where she has where Takina's got her ears against Chisato's heart. Takina says something along the lines of, "There's no sound, there's no heartbeat, there's nothing in there." And so for me, I thought that was a very powerful symbolic moment because Chisato is a trained killer. She's an assassin. She has no heartbeat. And so it's this idea of like she's forced to live this life as a killer with no human emotion. And yet she's so kind and gentle and loving, especially with her relationship with Takina.
The relationships are at the core of the show, right? We've talked a lot about the action, I think. But the relationships are at the core of the show, and we talked about Chisato and Takina's relationship already. But I think one of the other most important relationships in the show is Mika and Yoshimatsu.
And Yoshimatsu's relationship with Chisato.
Yes, of course. And I want to focus mostly on Mika and Yoshimatsu first, and then so again, there's both the interpersonal relationship between Mika and Yoshimatsu that's important, as well as the overall message of this parental relationships. Kusunoki, Mika, and Yoshimatsu all form this sort of like odd family parental structure to Chisato.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to touch a little bit on Mika and Yoshimatsu's because a lot of series handle these relationships extremely poorly, right? I think, first of all, to tackle this in an LGBT relationship in anime, they mostly go wrong. It's
either like handled questionably or it's fetishized.
Exactly. And so Mika and Yoshimatsu's relationship was heart-wrenching. Right? We talked about The Dark Knight, about how the Joker tells Batman, "Your friend, the district attorney, or he's blushing right to be." So the main thing, I think, is that Yoshimatsu has he and Mika's last conversation is they say Chisato has warped both of us.
Yeah.
Right? So Mika ends up killing Yoshimatsu.
Yeah.
And Yoshimatsu does the Joker gambit to try and force Chisato to become the woman that he envisions for her, right? And so I think there's an extremely feminist reading to this show in that Chisato is trying to be controlled by Kusunoki, right? She's this maternal figure, and she commands Chisato, you need to do this for DA.
Yeah.
Why am I paying you if you're not doing DA missions? You don't get to just slack around in Tokyo and do cafe missions, right? You need to do X, Y, and Z for me. Yoshimatsu goes, Chisato, you need to utilize your second chance at life to fulfill your destiny of being the ultimate killer.
Yeah.
Right? It's this sort of paternal drive to force her into, you know, they have both a paternal maternal influence to force Chisato to be something that she isn't. All these relationships, Kusunoki, Mika, and Yoshimatsu, how they shaped Chisato into the person that she is. Yeah. Right? And that she cannot be constrained by any view. You cannot force her to be who you want her to be, right? And so Mika saw that. And Mika, right? Mika and Yoshimatsu's relationship is one of this love, right?
Yeah.
They bonded, right? It's so serious. I think the elevator scene after they leave the bar was one of the most powerful episodes in the scenes in the entire show.
私たちは約束したじゃないか。そうだろう。やめろ!
It all goes to this fact of how these relationships shape Chisato. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And like how far Mika goes to protect Chisato.
Exactly.
At the final confrontation with Mr. Yoshi, he goes like, I love you. You're the person I love, but your love has warped Chisato. And so my love for her outweighs you. Yeah. And so it's such a heartbreaking scene that he has to make that decision.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because just like the Joker, if he lets him live, there's no going back. And he's going to do the thing that Chisato won't do. And that's to finish the job.
No, of course. Yeah. Yoshimatsu, I think that, hilariously, the best parts of the finale of the show are the ending of these relationships.
Yes.
I guess the climax of these relationships, right? Majima and Chisato, Mika and Yoshimatsu, Yoshi. You know, it's and even at the end when Chisato runs away to Okinawa and to hide between her and Takina as well, and even Fuki and Sakura, right? It's those moments that are the sweetest and that made me smile the most. And I didn't give a shit about Majima and Chisato fighting. I'm sure it's animated in such a beautiful way. Yeah, it's amazing, right? I don't think any show this season came close to doing what Lycoris Recoil did with their action scenes. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we stuck around to the show because of the strong characters and the relationships that tied them all together.
And we haven't talked about the villain yet, Majima.
Oh,
yeah, and so he is very... for me, he was so similar to Heath Ledger's Joker.
I mean, goddamn, if he's not Heath Ledger's, if they say that there's no influence, it's like when Guillermo del Toro said Eva had no influence, that he'd never seen Eva before making Pacific Rim. Yeah. So I thought it was more so they really took on the line from the interrogation scene, where Joker is like,
No, you complete me.
You're just one side of. We're both kind of
similar. We're the same.
We're different sides of the same coin.
We're both Allen Institute children.
Exactly. So I thought that, and I think that's really how they treated it, right? Yeah. I thought there's gonna be a less of a fight between Majima and Chisato at the last episode, more of they were gonna have their own jail scene. They did kind of have it.
And when they sit down and have a drink together.
Exactly. I thought that was the best part of the last episode.
I love that.
Yeah. Because I think, again, they truly are, right? Majima is saved because of the Allen Institute, again, because of his ability to disrupt. This brings it up to something I wanted to talk about a little bit earlier, about psychopaths, right? I think there's a lot of Majima's character is Makishima's from Psychopaths, right? Yeah.
And one of the strengths of the show is how well the villains are written.
Yeah.
Because both Mr. Yoshimatsu and Majima could have been one-dimensional, kill money,
Yes.
kind of bad guy. But
I mean, even there was times where I was very worried about Majima.
oh
being
no!
that-
When he
Yeah.
first was introduced, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, he's
Exactly.
just another crazy asshole guy." But
Yes.
no, the fact that he is a Joker, he
Yeah.
is complex.
Yeah.
The fact that when Chisato, he questions why Chisato's so obsessed with not killing anybody.
Yeah.
He's like, "You could have killed me and ended this."
Yep.
And the fact she goes, "Well, I don't want it. It makes me sad."
Yeah.
I love the fact where he encourages her to stay true to herself. She
Yeah.
goes, "Don't. I hate it when people make
Yeah.
others follow their rules."
Exactly.
And so the fact that you have a villain encouraging the hero to stay true to themselves is very rare.
Yeah.
And it's very like unique. And
Oh,
so
no, yeah.
I had mentioned earlier how I hate it when a show introduces a character that has a moral stance against killing.
Yeah.
This happens all the time, especially in battle royale movies, where the character's like, "I'm not gonna kill," and then like 10 minutes later, they're brutally stabbing someone in the throat.
Yeah.
And so I was so scared that they were gonna do the ultimatum.
Yeah.
Chisato has to kill
Yeah.
Majima or Mr. Yoshi to save Takina or
Yeah.
to save Mika. And there is kind of that moment where Yoshimatsu is shooting at Takina.
Yeah.
But Chisato's such a good shot that she intentionally misses his vital organs, but it's still devastating to her. She still screams out in agony when she does it.
Yeah.
And same thing with Majima. Like he wasn't trying to kill him, but she needs to prevent the bomb from going off.
Yeah.
And Majima still survives, and so she never compromised herself, and that's what I give credit to this show, because they could have done the easy way out and said you have to kill somebody, and they don't do that. So I give big props for this.
I mean,
that.
but again, I think it goes around to this, like I said, a more feminist reading of this show, in that Chisato cannot be bound by societal pressures and rules. And in some ways, both Majima and Chisato ended up sticking true to their own personal codes of conduct, or their ethic, or their code of ethics, till the very end. Neither was forced, or both were put in situations that, as a viewer, were like, "Oh, will they submit? Will this be it?"
Yeah.
And those are the best bits, right? When Okabe is struggling through and like, "Fuck, I have to kill Kurisu to save Mayuri."
Yes.
That is what drives the heart of these shows.
私は岡部のことが
And so when Majima and Chisato are put through these trials and tribulations and they come out, positively, you're like, "Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Best show of the fucking year." I think that's what's so great, that they didn't get distracted. There's so many things in the show that you could get distracted by.
So like there is this like seedy fascist almost government that running running the show.
Yes.
And that's kind of dropped.
Yeah.
And I don't know if necessarily that's a good thing or a bad thing, because there is a nugget of a good idea in there, of like this idea of the truth, uncovering the truth. Should the public know?
Yeah.
Is it good to let the public know about terrorism, even though it's going to raise anxiety or make people feel uneasy?
Yeah.
Or should they have just cut that altogether and not even include that?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of this thing where I feel like maybe they needed a couple more episodes to flesh it out, or I don't even know, because it felt so perfect. And,
I actually agree. Like we talked about this societal aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
About how Psychopaths, that's what it's centered around, right? But I'm actually really happy they did that, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to our Yurei Deco review, right? That was Yurei Deco's biggest issue.
Yeah.
Was that they got too wrapped up in the themes, right? Like when I have taken a lot of script writing classes, right? That's the one thing they're like, do not write a script because of themes. Write a script because you want to tell a damn good story.
Yeah.
Right? Don't let themes get in the way of telling a damn good story. And this is where, again, I wish I knew the director's name of this show, because I wish I could give them he or she credit for this, because they did not confuse the forest for the trees, you know, in this. They realized, okay, it's Chisato's story. fuck the societal commentary.
Yeah.
Fuck the action, right? It's about Chisato.
Yeah.
And it's about the characters and the relationships that she has. And I'm so thankful that they realized that and they stuck to the end, because I'm sure, especially because this is an anime original,
Yeah.
I am sure that there was pressure to be like, hey, we need more gunfights. Hey, we need more, X or Y.
Yeah, yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah, the bean counters were dictating what
Eh,
would
yeah.
work or not.
Yeah, but it actually really worked. And even though the Hawaii ending, I didn't really like it at first.
Aloha.
Yeah.
I actually thought about it, because that's actually a big point, that the Lycoris don't have passports. And so it's kind of like Chisato's dream, right? You touched on it about Chisato's code of ethics, right?
Yeah.
And that she shaped it because of the heart, right? And her heart, right? And that she knew she has a limited time on this earth, right? And so that's why she's like, because I know when my expiration date is, why should I take away other people's lives?
Exactly.
It's so precious,
Yes.
right? And so that's, again, at the core of the show, right? And so you get to see that Chisato gets to enjoy going out to Hawaii, even if it was cringy as hell, the coffee cart at the end. I get to go, okay, this is a way to show that Chisato gets to experience this, and that she's given that the sacrifice of Yoshimatsu and even Majima and other characters up to this point helped her get to have this experience, right? And they gave her this bit of life back.
Yeah.
I thought that was beautiful.
Speaking of that ending,
Yeah.
it's kind of clear that they I think the show wraps everything up pretty well, so that there doesn't ever need to be a second season. It's kind of like Star Wars Episode 4. It's ended, it's satisfying, the bad guy's been defeated, but
there's a good beginning, middle, and end, but they leave enough crumbs open. Right? So from what I understand, I was talking with my buddy, and he says in Japan it's doing really, really well.
Okay.
And so I think that there's probably going to be more. Again, you have the Lily Bells, and not just the Lily Bells. There's the commander that has some sort of, is probably implied to have tried to kill Chisato at some point.
Well, they also mentioned like all the guns, most of them have been taken by terrorist organizations, and they also show Majima still around.
Exactly, Majima's still around and still wreaking havoc. Right?
And they established that now the Lyco Deco crew is now the Scooby Gang, and they're going off to solve mysteries.
I think that most likely won't follow this main group of characters again. I think, or I would hope. I think the best way to do. I think Chisato's story is done. I do not want more Chisato. I think the worst thing that can happen is when a character has such a great, you get to watch their trials and tribulations over, this 12 episode run, and it's beginning, middle, end. It's shut. That's why Steins Gate Zero is so shit. Okabe already went through it. We don't need to see more, right? Or even all the other movies and shit that came after, right? I think that's all garbage, because we saw Okabe go through it already. Why do we need more? His story is over. Yeah. So Chisato and all of their stories are really done, right? I think that they've shut the door on that enough, and that they can explore other aspects, because again, I think Lily Bell is a huge one.
I personally think there's still a lot they can do with the characters. I understand that it can be open and shut case, but I mentioned Star Wars Episode 4. One can view that movie as being the perfect hero's journey, but we also see through 5 and 6, Luke still develops as the stories go on, and so do the rest of the cast. So I personally think there is room for more growth. For me personally, whether or not they do a second season, I think is irrelevant. This first season is so good, so that even if they did do a second season and just totally shit the bed and ruin it, I think this can stand on its own. I
would be so disappointed.
It would be so disappointing.
I don't want that to happen. Don't put that into the fucking. No, Kevin, stop it. Stop it. I don't want to see that.
I mean, that's how I've treated Star Wars for the last 10 years. It's like the episodes 7, 8, 9 don't exist.
It's so depressing. Stop it, please. Don't put it out into the.
So for me personally,
that's not how the Force works.
So for me personally, I wouldn't mind if there is a second season or not. I think this season is so good it can stand on its own. But if they do decide to do a second season and focus it on Chisato, I think there is room to grow. But I would also love to see new characters, explored. We see that Fuki, she's protagonist material. She still has a lot of character
Oh, no,
growth.
Fuki and Sakura, I think, are interesting.
And
あれっすよあれめっちゃ白に似てないっすか似てね
whether or not this needs one,
yeah.
I don't think so at all.
I don't think so either. Again, if there's already a light novel, I think.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's a light novel that's being added to it. So with how popular this has been in Japan,
It's probably going to be a franchise.
They're going to keep going. If you're A1, why wouldn't you? A1 is trying to build, or actually, no, it's not A1. Yeah, so I mean, if you're A1, why would you not on a popular IP, right? So, again, I hope that that Chisato's story is done. Maybe she can pop in,
maybe
like as a cameo. I think I wouldn't be as interested to see more Chisato stuff. Like I said, I think her story is pretty much.
I think they've kind of hinted that there is going to be something.
Yeah, because Majima lived. Right?
Well, not that just that, but like they showed the Lily Bell commander, and then
the relationship with Chisato. Like I said, I would prefer. I think maybe you take this expanded season to maybe talk about the government side of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope if they do that, they explore a little bit more about the government, the social commentary, as well as the relationship. I hope they don't forget that's the heart of the series is the relationship.
Yeah, well, you can give it two core 26 episodes.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I think you give it 26. If this had 26 episodes, man. Again, with anime originals, it's very hit or miss. Right?
Yeah.
But, I think this, with how everything turned out, I think 26 episodes of this would have been spectacular. I would have been very excited, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's fine how it is. How things are going. Just, again, we talk about art versus profit, right? We get it. A1 needs to make money. They got to pay the animators at least enough so they can eat one cup of noodle a day, and while they get carpal tunnel. They're going to use this IP if it's popular.
Yeah,
There's
obviously.
no ifs, ands, or buts to it. So there will be more. This is a great standalone story as is.
Yeah.
So you should watch it.
Yeah,
you should definitely watch it.
Yeah, for me, this was my favorite of the season by a country mile. Yeah. I absolutely adored this.
Yeah.
And I if there is more, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not going to be like no, second season. No, I mean, I'm going to obviously I'll tune in if there's more of it. This is maybe one of my favorite shows of the year. There's still a lot to go. Still a lot of months to go, right?
Yeah.
But it's looking pretty good for this show. I think it's a must-watch.
Yeah,
I think
same
this
here.
is going to go down as one of these shows that will pop up a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's an emphatic watch this show from us.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
So I guess that's it. So that's our review for Lycoris Recoil. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time.
Yep. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye. Cue ending song.